Did the early Mormon prophets live the word of wisdom? No. Despite the fact that Joseph Smith received the word of wisdom in February of 1833, it would not become a hard, fast rule until over 80 years later. Joseph Smith was a known drunkard, and then would fast with his men all day and then indulge in wine, after which he was known to prophesy and talk religion. He even opened a tavern in the Nauvoo mansion that Emma promptly made him get rid of. Joseph also drank coffee, and on the day that he was killed, he also drank wine. According to Orson Pratt, an entire family apostatized from the church because Emma offered them coffee and tea after the word of wisdom had been received. Brigham Young drank beer and wine and tea and coffee, and advised the men that if they were going to chew tobacco, they should do it discreetly, and for heaven's sakes not to spit the tobacco on the carpets and furniture. During Brigham Young's time as the prophet, the St. George Temple was dedicated, and in the cornerstone they placed the region's most iconic beverage, Dixie wine. John Taylor also drank coffee, tea, and wine, and smoked tobacco. Wilford Woodruff liked to put brandy in his hot lemonade, and also enjoyed port wine. He would also take brandy in his coffee. During their weekly meetings in the Salt Lake Temple, Lorenzo Snow would give the brethren bread and wine, from which they drank freely until satisfied, not your mother's sacrament cup. Joseph F. Smith would also give out bread and wine in their temple meetings, which was supplied in sufficient abundance to satisfy all present. Joseph F. Smith had a very bad temper and acknowledged in his divorce affidavits of abusing his first wife. He would often abuse and threaten her, and also abuse the neighbor nearly to death. He also abused his little sister's schoolteacher. I'm not sure if this violence was induced by the alcohol, but it would make sense to me if it was. Heber J. Grant was turned down for insurance because he didn't weigh enough, and his doctor recommended that he drink 4 glasses of beer in order to gain weight. Heber quickly became addicted, and his 4 glasses turned into 5, and his 5 glasses turned into 6. According to BYU professor Ronald W. Walker, Heber was only able to kick his addiction when he finally stopped restricting himself. Also, it was under President Heber J. Grant in 1921 that living the word of wisdom became a prerequisite for entering the temple. Yet the next prophet, George Albert Smith, took brandy for medical reasons. And a fun story comes from David O. McKay, the 9th prophet of the church. When at a reception, the hostess was serving rum cake. All the members waited to see what the prophet would do, but he just smacked his lips and started eating. But one of the members asked, "President McKay, don't you know that is rum cake?" President McKay smiled and reminded the guests that the word of wisdom restricted from drinking alcohol, not eating it. So overall, half of the Mormon prophets did not adhere strictly to the word of wisdom. So if you find yourself struggling, don't be too hard on yourself. Just remember that you're in good company.